Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pro Pulling League. This ARP Automotive Products Hillsboro charity poll is presented by Coltrane Energy Drink. We're up here in Hillsboro, Wisconsin. It's one of the favorite stops on the tour. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears here to call the action for you. We'll have two different categories on the show here tonight. We'll kick things off with the super modified two-wheel drive trucks. Great to have them with us, and then we'll follow it up with the smokers. The Pro Stock Tractors are in the house. Let's kick it off with one of the best. And the Nelson team, Misty Nelson, doing the driving here with that beautiful truck called Midnight Chaos. Didn't pick up the front end till right at the very end, but what would appear to be a very nice number here to kick things off at 324 and 71.
She's got a great number on this track, and 1 year ago she felt like she got a little robbed, but she did go out of bounds on that hook on a very awesome pull out there. So as we take a look at our running order, courtesy of Lucas Oil Products, she'll stay at the top, so it looks like they are going to leave the sled setting the way it is. But when you look at the names out here, we have lots of two-truck teams in the field out here that are going to be really competing hard for that belt buckle this weekend in the first of two events. And then you got some great Badger State pullers in there as well.
Here comes Wayne Timmerman in the showtime. And burns that one in at a very close 323 and 73. Just about 1 foot even short of what Misty Nelson did. Let's take a look at the points here for the super modified two-wheel drive trucks, with Jason Sullivan coming in here as our points leader with the corn burner, followed up by Jared Nelson, Tim Messer, Michael White, and Jesse Petro. As you can see there at the top, just 18 points between first and second with 2 hooks to go.
Yeah, and that's critical here because this track has not been kind to Jason Sullivan in the past, and he's been in this same position where he's had a lead coming in and then left without. So he's really got to be on his A game this weekend if he wants to walk away with that championship.
And Bobby Barbie comes in here with a Willie Make It. 8th in the points with a win at the second hook of the season, followed up with a third place finish, and puts 323.02 on the board. And that's about 9 inches short of Wayne Timmerman, who is in second. So first, second, third here as they've come out of the box.
And I'm loving the way this class is developing. We've got the first 3 vehicles within 2 feet of each other. It just shows how competitive everyone is out here, as we've got Jansen Smith backed up to the sled here in the truck he calls the stimulus package.
He had a top 5, just 2 hooks to go, and if he can stay here, would have another one. 320 and 35 is good enough for 4th place.
And you can see he tried to follow the same tracks that we saw Nelson take in the Midnight Chaos out here. I think that's what we're going to see develop here, is that, and we see it right here as well, is that pullers are going to be really choosy about where they go on the starting line to try to take a chance and put themselves in a position to find some new ground out there. I love the competition, the way everybody's stacking up together, but you've got to set yourself apart if you want to take a win here, and that's what Chaz Fleming's trying to do in the N2 Deep.
Put that thing up on the podium at our second hook of the year. We've not seen him or this truck since. It's a solid truck, and how solid is it? Well, we have a brand new leader at 326 and 24.
And I love the way that he goes to cross-tracks it. Starts on the high left side over there, points the nose over at that right sideline where he's seen everybody finish strong. Just lets the truck float and do its business over there. And that is awesome. And you can see that the weather conditions up here getting a little bit cooler. We've got those foggy windshields out there, and so that cooler air, even though it's a little bit moist, a little contentious with the moisture in there, but that cooler air going to help them create a little bit more horsepower tonight.
Up next will be Michael White in Addiction. Comes in here fourth in the points, has a couple of podiums on the season. Oh, and he digs it right down through there as well. Impressive effort here. Our first 6 trucks have all been over 320 feet, and we have a new leader once again at 327 and 60.
And you can really tell when that box tops off, the sound of that engine right there just really pulls down, and you get a great look. We've got 6 weights in the box, so 12,000 pounds on the sled. These guys pull in almost 200,000 pounds. And I think the big difference here for Michael White, just that extra momentum off the starting line gave him some staying power all the way to the end. We've just got started here with our super modified 2-wheel drives. Stay tuned, more to come.
The Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Fleece Performance Engineering, ARP Automotive Racing Products, and by Mack Trailer. Welcome back to Hillsboro Fireman's Park here in Hillsboro, Wisconsin for the ARP Hillsboro Charity Pull presented by Coltrane Energy Drink. Covering the super modified 2-wheel drive category, Michael White was our last truck and set the mark to beat at 327 and 60. Up next will be Chad Bayhill and the P5. Comes in here 5th in the points, and out of the last 4 events has been inside of the top 5, including a couple of podiums. But here he got off to a rough start. A few hops in there, and I think it hurt him.
Yeah, and Chad just really hasn't been able to find the level of consistency that he's had the last several years. And so started off a little slow this season, picked it back up, had a little dip there in Salem, Illinois. And so just try to find his ground here on these tracks and just kind of even things out.
Scott Deering coming up here with the overload, not chasing points. Boy, and that one picked the front end up right away, transferred all that weight to the back tires, and he dug in using all the horsepower he could use. He will put some 10 feet plus on our leader, 338.05.
Rolls it out of the hole beautifully out here, and you can see the front end comes up, and then that box tops off, and it carries, and that's exactly what you wanted to do. From about the 175-foot mark on, it is just pulling perfection out there for Scott Nearing as that front end is up in the air, transferring that weight. You could hear the engine just roaring, staying steady out there through that big hook. And I didn't think this track had that much more in it, but he has shown that it rightly does.
Up next will be a tough Lisa Tatum in the Park City Auto Parts truck. She comes in here 6th into points and fresh off of a win at Salem, Illinois, our last hook. And unfortunately, she's going to be a little bit short of what she needs here tonight at 319 and 16.
It looked like she tried to find a fresh spot on the starting line to get rolling, and unfortunately the tires didn't want to lock into the track fast enough, so she had to wait on it, and that slowed down her momentum.
Well, coming up next is a Jason Sullivan behind the wheel of the corn burner, our points leader, and Leslie spoke to him.
Well, the corn burner leads the points coming into the weekend, and Jason, it's been an amazing season for you. When we look at the finishes and we look at the points, I mean, your worst finish is 8th on the season. You got some wins in there. I mean, what was the key to your consistency?
Just trying to make the same pass. The driver's got to try to drive it and do a good job on that as far as getting it out of the hole and get it going and get it rolling, and just try to pay attention to all that.
So this is the beginning of the big weekend for you guys. I know you've been thinking about it. I know your team has. Have you run the numbers? Have you stayed away with it? What's been your mentality coming in?
We know, I believe we're 18 points ahead. We really got to concentrate Friday night. I mean, we would love to have a belt buckle also. So, I mean, we're going after the win. We'd like to win it. And, I mean, if we could win the points at the end of the season, it would be an awesome bonus.
But you've also said that, you know, you couldn't have asked for a better season this year either.
No, this is the best season I've ever had. No matter how it ends up, I can't be happier, really.
He's had an incredible run here. How about 7 top 5s out of 8 hooks? Incredible run. 3 of those on the podium, including a win at Goshen. Transfers the weight nicely here, too. It finally pulls that blower motor down. Hard to believe, right? 322 and 10. Not enough to get up into the top 5.
And this is a little bit dangerous for him. You've got to remember that the PPO points work in 2-point increments. And so if he gets past 13th place, he's only going to get 25 points for the night, opening up the door for Jared Nelson, who's right behind him. And you know, Ken, he's also coming off his worst finish of the season in Salem, Illinois. And so I wonder if our motor's getting a little bit tired. You know, I'm sure he took all the maintenance precautions before he got here, but you got to wonder, after being so good and so consistent, is that motor going to hold up through the rest of the weekend?
Up next will be Jared Nelson with the Midnight Revenger. This is the guy that's in second place, just 18 points behind him. Man, and he throws one down. We have a new leader here once again, 341 and 88. And what Leslie just said just came true. How about 6 trucks already between him and Jason Sullivan with the corn burner?
This is just a nightmare for Jason Sullivan, but it is picture perfect for Jared Nelson out here. Just so nice and smooth and easy. It doesn't even really burn it in hard at the top end either. And so a great setup for the team. You know, I talked to Jared earlier in the day and he goes, man, I don't think we even really have a shot at it. But here he's showing that anything can really happen in this super modified 2-wheel drive category. The players are just that good.
Yeah, usually when you've had a season like Jason Sullivan has had, like I said, 7 out of a possible 8 top 5s, you're not expecting him to slip up, but he has definitely opened up the door here tonight. Chad Mayhill there with the 2-time truck, comes in here just outside of the top 10, 319 and 60. So it's going to be a tight one here in the super modified 2-wheel drive truck category. Stay with us, we have plenty more. We're back here. It's a beautiful night in Hillsboro, Wisconsin for the ARP Hillsboro Charity Poll presented by Coltrane Energy Drink. Covering the super modified 2-wheel drive category, and up next will be Tim Messer and the Invisalign. Leslie's with him.
The Southwind Dental Truck is running like a top. And Tim, it seems like during that rush of events that you guys really hit your stride. What was it that made you guys turn the corner?
Well, I think just timing was everything. We got some of the bugs worked out earlier in the season, and then the truck's just been performing really well and exactly as we expected it to.
You know, I think it has a lot to do with your power plant, too. You're able to throw down a lot of power on these tracks.
Yeah, we have Sassy Racing engine heads, and Boyd Performance follows up with that, and they've given us a great motor to work with. Bob, our crew chief, he does a great job setting the truck up, and myself driving or my brother, it doesn't matter. You can put any monkey in that truck and it'll just go.
So what are your chances this weekend? Because you've got to be a hard charger if you're going to move yourself up to knock off the top dog because he's got such a big lead.
Well, this is always a great track, and this is a horsepower track, so everybody comes here to throw it at the dirt, and our chances are as good as anyone's, and we might just be in the top 3 each night. Who knows?
Comes in here third in the points, 4 podiums, including 2 wins. Wow, and that slow, methodical start might have hurt him there. He's going to lay up short of what we would expect here at 3:20 and 48.
And I think it's the same thing that we saw with Lisa Tatum, where maybe he didn't feel it hook up into the track fast enough, so he had to hold back the throttle a little bit and wait on those tires to really dig in before he gave it more horsepower.
Here comes Tony Fleming with the high maintenance trucks. We have not seen him since the first 2 hooks at Mackville. A tough truck for sure. We'll see what he throws at everybody. Boy, and he nails it front end up right away, like all of our leaders have done. And consequently, a big number on the board. 336.06 is good enough to jump into 3rd place. And more importantly for Jared Nelson, another truck between him and our points leader, Jason Sullivan.
I can't even imagine what Jason Sullivan is feeling on the sidelines, watching the rest of this field come at him, because he was fairly early in the run. And for Tony Fleming, doing a great job taking your teammates' run, because we saw Chaz come out here and really kind of like bust the doors open and put up that 326 early, which has since been surpassed. But taking information from your teammate, using it to your advantage, and then furthering your run to give your team opportunities.
The Stone Cold with David O'Driscoll comes in here a little bit deeper in the points. However, the last 2 hooks has been right there in the thick of things, with a 5th place finish and a 6th place finish. Well, and you could hear him just knock the tires off of that thing in the first part of the hook. Spinning the tires. Finally, they got a bite, pick the front end up, and drives it down through there. Puts a 324.01 on the board, and that's another truck between the 2 points leaders and 16 of the 18 points required.
Oh my goodness, this is getting crazy. It's going to set up a great finale in the afternoon tomorrow to figure out who's going to take this win here. To your point, though, Ken, about blowing those tires off at the starting line, I think that there's a couple critical things here. One, it's the starting line, making sure that you can get moving fast right away. And 2, I think we're going to have to see those front ends come up a little bit higher. We saw that from Jared Nelson. We also saw it from Scott Nearing as well, that big wheel stand to pour all the weight into those rear tires to get the most out of the physics of that once that sled is under load and you're the better part of the way down the track.
The hot and nasty, driven by Kyle Timmerman, comes out here. Keep in mind, Wayne Timmerman was 2nd hook of the class, went 323 and 73, had a really good look at what was going on here, clearly made some adjustments, and we have a brand new leader again, 347 and 36.
These distances are just astounding, but there we see it. We see the higher wheel stand, and look how he carries it out to the very end. So perfect displacement of weight for these guys. And they're kind of like the mini rods, right? So they've got 6,200 pounds out here. It's a full-bodied truck, and so it's heavy out there. So they move 20, 30, 40 pounds at a time, just like those mini rods do, to try to get that balance. And this team did their homework, they looked at their notes, and they found that setup that worked for them.
Up next, I always love this Apache, man. This thing looks absolutely beautiful. Tim Deppie, and appropriately named Old School. And another nice looking effort here. More importantly, take a look at that number. It is more than 322, and it is less than 341. That is another truck in between the 2 points leaders of Nelson and Sullivan. And if my gorilla math is correct, we now have a tie at the top for the points lead.
And there's still 3 to go here. So it could be a huge swing for Jared Nelson. Let's see what Ethan Friedrich has going on here with the side job.
Well, the class used to be loaded with these T-buckets back in the day. A couple of rule changes, you don't see them quite as much, and the distance here at 3:07 and 17 will not be a player here tonight. Stay with us, we'll be right back. And once again, we welcome you back to the ARP Hillsboro Charity Pull, and it's all presented by Coltrane Energy Drink, covering the super modified two-wheel drive trucks, presented by Optima Batteries. Jason Sullivan came in here with an 18-point lead. Jared Nelson was in second, and if our math is correct, Jared Nelson is now tied with Jason Sullivan, as there was a big difference between distances. Jason Sullivan had opened up the door. This is Jeremy Nelson. Yes, that is the brother of Jared. Jeremy drives it down through there. 3:29 and 14. And again, between the 3:22 and the 3:41 of our points leaders, that should give the nod to Jared Nelson as a points leader.
This is just wild. And here's the best part for Jared Nelson. He's got Bethany behind him. And so that means that he's got another opportunity to gain some points. We do want to note, though, there is one more hook here at Hillsboro as they take a closer look there at Jeremy Nelson's truck just to see if he's got any mechanical damage. And so this is really kind of setting up the grand finale of the super modified two-wheel drives, which will happen in the afternoon tomorrow.
Final truck in the category, and yes, she is a former champ. Matter of fact, multi-time champ and the reigning champ from 1 year ago. And she throws a solid number on the board at 3:32 and 59, and that will be another truck between them as they go into the final hook tomorrow, as Leslie was speaking of, and it makes Kyle Timmerman our winner. Let's watch this one more time.
And, you know, Bethany here is just trying to make a solid effort because she is so nervous. She hates being the last hook of the class and does it in true champion style out here, as she does have to cross track a little bit or that distance would have been legged out quite a bit. And so she does the best of the situation out there and still puts up a huge number.
Yeah, we take a look at it there. It is good enough to get her into the top 5, so a great effort. Look at the big numbers up top with Kyle Timmerman at 347 and Jared Nelson at 341. Wow, big stuff. Let's talk to our winner.
Such a tough group of super modified two-wheel drive trucks here tonight. And Kyle, it looked like the track kind of had a mind of its own at the top end. How were you able to keep it on the line that you wanted?
Well, to be honest, I got pretty fortunate. It just went straight down the track. I didn't have to hit a brake or anything, and it just went right where we wanted it to go. And we finished right where we wanted to finish, I guess. So can't complain about anything there.
No, and it was taking a lot of power out there and a lot of bullets to come at you, but you were still able to hang on.
Yeah, there was still a lot of trucks back there that we were pretty concerned about. You know, Nelson's are real tough trucks, and we just never know with those guys behind you, but we were able to pull it out the end. So.
Yeah, so one in the books on your way to maybe earning that belt buckle tomorrow. I know it's pretty exciting for you guys. Congrats to you and your team.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all my family. If it wouldn't be for them, we wouldn't be able to do it. My brother back home, my Uncle Wayne. I'd like to thank Kister Motors and Modern Machine for our chassis. And like I said, the whole family, we wouldn't be able to do it without them. So thank you.
And we'll take a look at the points here. After recalculating, there were a couple of trucks that got in between the two that were not chasing points. Consequently, it is Jason Sullivan that dodges a big bullet here tonight. But going into the final hook, the top two are tied up. It is on, and it will all come down to one hook. Unbelievable after an incredibly tough year in the super modified two-wheel drive truck category. Awesome stuff. Hey, we're far from done. The Pro Stockers are coming up next. Welcome back to the ARP Hillsboro Charity Poll presented by Coltrane Energy Drink. We're here in Hillsboro, Wisconsin. Super modified two-wheel drive truck category is in the books. Time now for the Pro Stock category presented by Lemke Motorsports. We'll kick it off with our points leader, the Tinker Toy. This tractor won the first 4 hooks of the season. And with an effort like that from Patrick Gentry, just might win this one. Listen to this number, 365 and 48.
Never have I ever heard a distance like that, especially here at Hillsboro. Look at that huge footprint from those rear tires. Definitely runs out of chalk line, and he's headed for the sand pile out there. There is no way that our officials, look, he's trying to give it he's like, yeah, come on, leave it.
Yeah, I'm good with that
Let's go,
one.
let's roll out here. There's no way that our officials can let that ride out here.
It does make it tough on them because that is the points leading tractor, certainly the one to shoot for, but that's a big number even for that tractor. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they pull that one back as we take a look at our Lucas Oil Products running order.
So many tough tractors in this category. The big thing for the Tinker Toy now is getting it back to the pits, getting those blowers out, and trying to cool everything down before they have to make a second attempt.
Oh, Bradley Hartman needs to get that thing stopped. Actually, he's going to be okay here. They did reset the sled, so this is the first test puller after the sled reset, and boy, did he dodge a bullet here. He comes in here third in the points, does have a couple of podiums on the season, in fact, 3 of them, but clearly some sort of a mechanical there. Very early on, he did surpass the 100-foot mark, so any other time he would be in trouble. But being the first one in the class after the reset, he'll be able to drop that one. Here's a look at those points as we go in here, Leslie.
Yeah, Joey Harris, Patrick Gentry, it doesn't matter who's on the Tinker Toy. It's been on top for most of the season, followed by the River Rat. And then you can see this is going to be heartbreaking for the Hardcore Addiction team if they can't get it back. And then Real Deer Pro in 4th place, and then the Bulletproof Buck rounding out the top 5.
Up next will be Connor Metting. And the name of that beautiful John Deere is called the Bull Wagon. And comes in here 7th in the points. You can see that thing wrinkling up the back tires. 318 and 47 will be the official mark to beat.
And you can see they really made some severe changes to the sled. My guess is that they dropped the pan just a little bit sooner. And look how fast that box is moving up the rails of the sled to put the brakes on that vehicle so much quicker. You can see it's loaded down with weights back there. They've normally got 10 weights in the box. Sometimes, if they need to, they can throw an extra one in there, but an extra 20,000 pounds on the sled is what it takes to really stop these pro stocks who are making between 4,000 and 5,000 horsepower.
Up next will be John Link with the Revelation Pro. We've not seen him at all this year. 1 year ago, finished up 6th in the points with a couple of podiums. We'll see how the International does here for the Red fans. Front end up and down way over there by the chalk line. Did not see a red flag, so I think he's legal here. And the distance will be 300 even, 0.28.
And I know, Ken, he's been waiting on parts for most of the season. Finally got it back together. He's originally from Cottage Grove, Wisconsin, which is about an hour down the road, so he couldn't resist trying to make it a debut here at Hillsboro for the season.
Up next will be Clint Metting with a bulletproof buck. Comes in here 5th in the points. Still hungry for that first podium. And the distance right here, 3:08.17. That is good enough for second place as it stands right now.
A little worried about that cloud of smoke around the tractor, but we'll get that cleared and bring you more pro stock action. We've got plenty to come. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the ARP Hillsboro Charity Pull. Nice overhead shot here. It's all presented by Coltrane Energy Drink, covering the Pro Stock Tractor category. And up next will be Brandon Simon out of Farley, Iowa. Loud and Heavy, championship winning team here. Has not been out here chasing points inside of this category this year. They have been busy though, and when they do show up, they certainly make some noise. 3:25 and 93, that is a brand new leader, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like this is a repeat of Hillsboro past here with Brandon Simon just bringing the loud and heavy out here and just throwing it down. It wasn't an easy hook for him, though. It was kind of like weaving back and forth on those rear tires, and so he really had to do a lot of driving and really kind of keep it in that line that he wanted out there. And so the track not making it easy for him, but definitely showing the horsepower they've got under the hood.
Up next will be Corey Bobb and the Whiskey Wild's only been to 3 hooks on the podium, 2 of those, including a win at Goshen.
So it's double duty this weekend for Corey Bobb. So talk about how close the Barely Getting By and the Whiskey Wild are as far as the structure of the tractors.
Structurally, they're pretty identical. There's minor differences in them, but we've tried to get them set up to where they're as close as possible. So if you do have to switch tractors driving, it's just a smooth transition.
So what's the biggest difference from you jumping from seat to seat that you notice that you have to make adjustments for?
I don't, honestly, there's not a lot. I mean, they drive a lot the same. The only real difference is just the view looking over the 2 different hoods. That's about it.
Okay, so tonight you get the opportunity to run 2. You've got some space in between. You're going to have some time to make some changes. What are some things that you could possibly change to get a better run out of the second machine?
Oh, obviously moving weight, tire pressure possibly, different spot on the track. It's hard to tell. There's enough room between them to where a lot of things can change. So.
And a lot of decisions to make too. That makes it hard.
Oh yeah, well, it's always nice to have some help, but I got good help with me this weekend, so I think we'll be all right.
And that one chirps the turbo as it spools back down at 300.34.
And he definitely went back to notes of pulling past to choose the line down that right sideline. For several years here at Hillsboro, that was the spot to be. You wanted to park your vehicle as close as you could to that chalk line and then just ride the lightning all the way down. Unfortunately for Corey tonight, that doesn't seem to be the spot. We saw the winner from our super modified two-wheel drive class, and the pullers that had the most success come from the middle or come from the left.
And again, way over there by the chalk line, looked like he had to bring it back just a little bit, which would require some braking action, which always deters from the distance. 3:07 and 89 for the red Cadillac.
You know, and I kind of mentioned some of those Badger State tractor pullers that are super tough, that stay in the state of Wisconsin. And I think some of our Champions Tour guys are glad for that. Here's another one, Greg Elsing, the T8 Tomcat.
And how about that New Holland, ladies and gentlemen? An incredible number right here as he comes out and puts 3:39 on the board and takes over the lead by a bunch.
And it's really a fairly smooth hook. He's got that one little bobble in the beginning to get that front end up in the air. But after that, silky smooth to the top end. And this tractor has really come a long way in the last 2 years. Greg Elsing and his team have worked very, very hard to put that blue on top. And they have created an amazing performance program to do it.
Justin Wagler, another player inside of this category with the Real Deer Pro. Look at that flame. Comes in here fourth into points, and he's going to get after it. Wow, these last couple of tractors are certainly showing us there's a bunch left out here. 3:35 and 52.
You know, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't textbook, but man, does he show us what kind of power he's got. If he can leg it out there 335 feet and pick that front end up and down multiple times, you know he's got a ringer under the hood. Can he hold on to it, though? You'll have to stay tuned to find out.
The Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire, Hartz Diesel, and by Coltrane Energy Drink. We've got 3 tractors yet to go here inside of the Pro Stock category, presented by Lipke Motorsports. Some big numbers up on the board here. The last couple of tractors, 339 and 335 feet. It's going to take a big number to win this one here tonight. Up next will be the River Rat, the reigning champ in the category. And Leslie spoke to him.
We know Mondays are a little rough, but Kevin, I think that you might have had the roughest Monday of everyone here this week. What happened?
Well, I don't know that it was a rough Monday. We were just trying some things on the dyno and tore it up.
How bad?
Oh, we had to put a few pistons in.
Okay, but that's a big deal because we know that parts are really, really hard to come by, especially in your class.
Yeah, I just lucked out. My good friend Denny Brown happened to be at Riverside Engines, and he brought parts home to me. I had them by 11 o'clock Monday night.
So how long did it take you to get back together, and did you give it another run on the dyno before you put it in for the weekend?
Yes, I did, and we were running by Tuesday night.
So confident that we're going to be ready to go out here and tear it up?
We'll see.
Comes in here second in the points with a couple of podiums on the season, including our last official hook without rain there at Evansville. But Either he came out with a soft tune-up or they just missed it a little bit. The good news is the team tractor is just 2 behind this one.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the tracks of the sled behind him. And you can see he takes that wicked turn to the right immediately, has to use his brake to bring it back around. I don't know if that made 30 feet of difference, but it made a huge difference on the outcome of his distance for sure. Those grouser bars digging into the track, the brake, trying to get your power to the ground through all of that made a huge difference on that run for him.
Up next will be Corey Bobb, and he's driving the barely getting by. Beautiful John Deere here is very capable. And that one squats the rear tires as well, but can only post a distance of 3:12 and 46. Will not hang with the players here tonight.
The positive for the team, though, is that he did put over 12 feet on the previous run that was set by the Whiskey Wild. So using that knowledge out there on the track to make gains, that's about what we see out here, is 10 to 15 feet. We don't see huge gains of 20 and 30 feet normally, but it is about 10 to 15. We also have to take into account he didn't have a lot of time to make changes out there. So maybe gear, tire pressure, and driving style were the things that he focused on.
Well, here comes Patrick Gentry once again. He kicked the category off of the Tinker Toy, went 365 and 48. The official said, no way, we're resetting the sled. She'll have another crack at it here. Slowly spooling this one up. Here we go. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Honestly, I just said Kevin Masterson went 2 tractors ago, so he was going to have a good read on this track. Obviously, the Tinker Toy went early at the start of the class, but I've got to tell you, I don't think I've ever seen a tractor come out here and go further on their second attempt when they've laid down a hook like 365 and 48, but it just happened 366 and 95 and will absolutely steal this win.
I love the fist pumping from Patrick at the end as well. And so he keeps that right arm on the throttle solid out there. And then you can see he lets go of the steering wheel at the end to give it a little celebratory fist bump. I can't believe he was able to pull that off, especially after a sled change. I could see maybe having a big distance and taking the win, but not like that, not in that fashion. That was something else.
He actually went further. So what was it capable of the first time? Holy smokes, what an incredible effort here out of our points leader. Of course, the Masterson team flexing their muscle. They were 1-2 in the points last year. They're 1-2 in the points this year. And then they come out and just hand an absolute whipping to the rest of the field by nearly 30 feet. Unbelievable. Let's talk to them.
The Tinker Toy stands on top of the podium once again. And Patrick, I don't know what to say about that pass. It was a little bit ridiculous.
It felt great. Kevin told me to skin her back and have fun. And that's what we done. And we got to do it twice tonight at Hillsboro. It's pretty amazing. It's a testament to the Masterson family, all the stuff Don did in the past, their family support. But this guy, Kevin's knowledge, the fun we're having, the boys being here tonight before they go to school, Rob, Joey back home watching, cheer us on, Daryl watching, cheer. We got such a great fan base. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and the tractor just keeps going through its paces. And so, listen, we'll let you pull another day here. Look like it let itself off the track, and you're good to go.
It is, and also we got to thank Chad Mayhill, Metos Tires. Metos's are here today. Got a booth. Weimer. The guys, what they do, Phil and Keith at Riverside and the Riverside crew is phenomenal. Everything you all do, the Pro Pulling family, this facility, the Slamas, it's just a special place and a special night. So thanks, everyone, and Gangster Nation's pretty happy, I bet.
It's been an incredible night up here in Hillsboro. Of course, we kicked things off with the super modified two-wheel drive category and followed that up with the Pro Stockers. It was a good time, Leslie.
And the points race is heating up coming down the home stretch. I can't wait to see who's going to be crowned champ in these two crazy categories.
Hope you enjoyed all the great pulling action. For Leslie Mears, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Pro Pulling League.